Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is a very interesting day and also like a throwback to my first video because today I decided I would just spend my time outlining my different projects. Originally I was going to just outline one of my projects and that was going to be NPS. However, I decided against that because not only because I'm close to figuring out the world building stuff, so it means I can start outlining properly, but also because I'm planning on drafting the second book of my dystopian trilogy this weekend. Today is Thursday. I only got today and Friday to outline this project before I start drafting it. So far I've written, I think I have like 5 or 6 chapters outlined, which is perfectly fine. I don't expect to have the whole book outlined. I only need a little bit outlined, just something to get me started with. And also I decided to do multiple outlining today because I also want to outline my third book in the dystopian trilogy because I want to draft that this year as well. What sort of outlining video would this be if I didn't have my favorite writing resource in the world, Save the Cat? The second thing I have on hand with me today is a book you've probably seen in previous videos, and that book is my series journal. And then my laptop isn't on me, but that's what I'm outlining NPS on, so when I get to that I'll bring my laptop over. But right now I'm going to switch the angle and start outlining, I guess. As you can tell, this setup changed a little bit. I also managed to organize all my pens here, which I mentioned, I think it was in the last video that I did. Yeah, I fixed that because, I don't know, I just wanted to, I guess. But saying that, I do also have a collection of pens that I can't really put back yet because it's for this series journal and I like having my necessary pens on hand. What I'm going to do now is get something that I completely forgot to get. You'll see. And get ready to start outlining. I'm back and what I went to go get is actually this. And no, it's not chocolate, even though I wish it was. It is actually my collection of post-its, like small cards, note cards, and things like that because I might use them. When outlining, I like to have like as much resources as possible, whether that be useful resources like this that I'll actually use, or things to just make the page look pretty. Anyway, so now all I'm going to do is open up, read my brief Save the Cat outline that I wrote so long ago in a different video. I'll have a link down below if you're interested in watching me outline the second book using Save the Cat. And I'll also look through the notes I made for book 3 because I briefly came up with an idea of what I want to happen in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and strangely enough only Act 3 is really solidified. It's the only act that I think is like, it will wrap up this trilogy so well if I do this. But the first and second act, those are a little bit, they keep changing every time I try and think about what to do for that. So that's something I need to figure out obviously today. Well, not today, but that's something I hope to figure out if I'm going to outline this book this year, which I hope to do. Hope to have all 3 books written by the end of the year. Not what I originally planned to do, but we'll go with it. In my goals video, which will also be linked down below if you're interested, I did mention how I want to start drafting 2 new novels alongside TA #2, or the second book in the dystopian trilogy. And I know what first book is going to be written during this year that makes up for that. Might not make the final book, this second book of my goals video. It's very confusing to talk about, but essentially I just want to work on it this year. I want all 3 books written this year. Anyway, outlining, that's what we're doing. do an entire page of just chapter outlining because I don't outline scenes, I outline chapters. I also did some character work on a character that was briefly mentioned in book 1, but they make a big appearance in book 2. And I also I also changed a character's name because I didn't like I just picked a random placeholder name for them and I never changed it, so I decided to change it now, and I'm so happy with their name now. I also did a family tree for a family we're meeting in book 2 because this family tree isn't like the most important thing in the world, but it does build up these characters that belong to the family tree, if that makes any sense. So now that that's done, I'm going to switch over to NPS because I want to take a break from this world for a little bit, and that means I have to clear up this mess. It doesn't look messy, but it is messy. I'm going to clean that up. I'm going to get my laptop and I'll come back to you with NPS. Over here I have my laptop and it is currently starting up, and then get onto my document. Can I even call it a document? It's more of slides put together with world building and plot stuff, but I'm just gonna call it a document. I've been thinking about my story a lot, NPS, and the whole world, and I think I mentioned I planned on this having like 6 books. I'm thinking 5 books it'll probably be. Obviously I haven't outlined, so I don't know. I know it's going to be more than 4 books for sure, but is it going to be 5 books? Is it going to be 6 books? Is it going to be even more? We don't know. If it is going to be 5 books, I do know how I'm going to like structure everything. Just a little epiphany I had about my series that it may actually be 1 book less than I planned, which might make it easier to write the whole series, since still now this hasn't changed since the very first time I was thinking about it. I want to have all the books written in a series before I start doing anything with them, like querying, publishing, editing. The document is now loaded up. It took a while, so in that time I actually went to get a snack. I forgot where I left off, and now that I'm here, I don't really want to do it. It is just so... the parts that I haven't figured out, they're like very crucial to the plot, but they're also really hard to figure out to try and incorporate into this world and for it to all make sense. One thing that I haven't really properly outlined is the magic system in this world, and the magic system obviously is like really important to know. The rules of the magic, how they got their magic, and like I do have an idea. Obviously I know where it came from, how people use it, but I haven't really put too much thought into it. I guess I'm gonna have to. I need a change of scenery, and I feel like it'd do good for this video if I did a change of scenery. So I'm actually going to move downstairs to my living room and sit at the dining room table. In a few seconds, I'll come back. So as you can see, I'm now in my living room. I have my document up here. It is quite fun being down here away from my writing corner that I spend a lot of time in. And hopefully it is fun that I moved and there's different scenery. So I'm just going to work on doing some of this for a little bit. And then I'm hoping to make a brand new document to start some proper outlining. Let's go. back over here because downstairs my family came and it got a little bit noisy. I made a new document ready to start outlining the plot and the chapters and the books. I only had 3 things to go over and like figure out, and then I was all good to go. However, I may or may not have begun outlining the first book. I just started doing Save the Cat when I realized I don't know Save the Cat by heart and I should probably stop before I do any more and the plot gets all messed up because I didn't figure out everything I needed to. I don't know whether I should continue with the world building stuff so I can start outlining, or whether I should just move on and leave it for now and let these questions sit and rest and be figured out and then I can do it. I think the best course of action would be for me to just leave it, because I have found that if I sit there and I think about an idea for too long and I try and make things make sense, try and make things click on purpose, just sitting there trying to think, the ideas I come up with are usually so bad that I lose interest in the story, and I don't want to lose interest in this story. I'm just gonna let the questions sit and rest. Good news is that the first book is all figured out. I did like an overview of the beginning, middle and end, and I would show you, except it's got the entire book planned out. I'll leave the element of surprise there, but I do know what happens in the first book and I have an idea of how the second book starts and an idea of how I'm going to introduce another major character in this plot. But that's about it. The biggest question of all is, how do people figure out that the antagonist is the antagonist? This antagonist is actually very well respected by people. So I have to try and figure out how my antagonist becomes the antagonist to these people as well, without pulling the ultimate Bond villain on them and making them reveal their entire plan to everyone. Because I decided to let the story sit, I am going to exit out of all my documents and move back into my dystopian trilogy, which is super exciting. Super excited. As you can see, all my stuff is now laid out as if it was never moved in the first place. I'm debating whether I want to continue with the second book outlining or whether I should just start planning out the third book. I decided I was going to try and outline the third book. It would make more sense to outline the second book now, since I am writing it this weekend. But also, I really want to outline all the books. If I know what happens in the third book, perhaps I can add some foreshadowing in the second book. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself. I'm going to do that now. Welcome back. I haven't sat like this in a while, but we are doing that now. So first of all, I managed to outline the third book up to the setup, and I'm a bit stuck on the catalyst because I can't quite figure out exactly what will happen in Act 2 and how it makes them want to go into Act 3 in terms of events. This is the sheet. As you can tell, I've scribbled a lot when I was stuck. That's just the way I work. But this is like the main thing, and Act 3 is the biggest and it is the most definitive. Act 2 is the only act that I have no clue what to do for, and if I don't know what's happening in Act 2, I don't know quite how to make Act 1 get into that. So once again, I am completely stuck on the plot, and again, I don't want to just like force any ideas to come because then I won't be happy with the outcome. Hello everyone, as you may or may not be able to tell, it is a lot later now. I actually managed to figure out how the first act should go in the third book of the dystopian trilogy that I'm writing, and that's just an accomplishment in itself. So what I'm going to do now is work on this a little bit longer. Hopefully I can get some work done in the second book too. It is wild to think that in less than 48 hours the second book is going to start being drafted. I can still remember when this idea was just an idea, and if I ever publish this series, I think it'd be interesting to talk about what my initial idea was, because it was so much different and it evolved into so many things before reaching this form. So I think that'd be pretty fun to talk about. Now I hope the lighting is like a little bit better. So now we're over here. I think now I'm going to start with the outlining for the third book, and then I'll move on to the second book. That's what I'm going to do now. Is officially outlined, which is absolutely crazy, and I managed to set this up pretty well for Act 2. This is all just Act 1, which more than I thought I'd write for it, but I'm very detailed with these notes compared to last time I did Save the Cat, because there's a lot of stuff I want to happen in these beats in order for the story to wrap up. And one other thing I'm doing is I'm bringing together the two love interests, one of the character together, because they're originally separated by how different they are, but now they're obviously having to work together to do something. And another interesting bit is that I'm introducing characters that have a story to tell about the main character's heritage. If I was to write another series or duology or trilogy based off this book about my main character's heritage, this book, this specific part, the debate part, what they do in the debate part would greatly influence that book. Instead of doing more towards this, I'm going to actually spend my time carrying on with the second book. So that's what I'm going to do. I do think this is like towards the end of the first act. So that's pretty great. I didn't think I'd be able to get this much outline today. So I'm here on my sofa now because I'm just going to end the video now. I do think today was really useful. I do feel confident enough to start drafting on Saturday, which I will put an Instagram post about that when it comes. So if you're interested to see what drafting the second book will be like, my Instagram is down below. That is it from me for now. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time with another video. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye!